It is time for our WWE SummerSlam predictions. The first match on the card is going to be Sami Zayn, the Intercontinental Champion, going up against Braun Breaker. Feels like a rematch for Money in the Bank and kind of feels a little bit like they're going to correct course with maybe they should have pulled the trigger at Money in the Bank, but we're going to get this at SummerSlam. Another just straight up one-on-one match as far as I can tell. No stipulations, no nothing, which is kind of what I feel that this match needs is a little bit of a stip because straight up one-on-one Braun Breaker versus Sami, it's a little bit on the boring side for me because we have done this match. We've had this feud for several months now. It has been Braun Breaker's big breakout, lack of a better word, feud for coming up to the main roster. But we got him, we've got Ilya, Sami, all mixing it up. I really do think that this is going to be the time for Braun to get that Intercontinental title. Sami, I think, is going to transition. The bigger story for Sami Zayn, I think, is going to be stepping away from the IC title, getting into a tag team thing with Jey Uso, possibly even getting those tag team titles off of Judgment Day. Maybe it's something like Bash in Berlin, and then you're kind of off and rolling when it comes to the whole bloodline story and the return of Roman Reigns. So I gotta say, I got a lot of confidence on Braun Breaker winning this one. Next match, Logan Paul, the United States Champion, going up against LA Knight. Yeah, I do think that we are going to have LA Knight win this thing and get the United States Championship. Not only because I think, well, one, LA Knight is just due for a championship. He hasn't won anything on main roster. This is it. This is the first time that he's gonna win it. Like, I just assuming that he is going to win, but it'd be the first championship he's gonna hold on main roster, which is a big deal for LA Knight. I kind of like to see what he'd be like as champion and what his next feuds would be. That's the other thing here, is that you get this one story going on with Logan Paul and LA Knight. Logan Paul's not around that much, and so you kind of need that United States Championship on SmackDown, especially because the main title is all wrapped up in Bloodline Cody and everything. You're not getting a lot of title matches. It's kind of necessary, I feel, to have the United States Championship on SmackDown every single week, getting defended more regularly more often at the PLEs, as often as Triple H does matches, because he's got small PLEs, doesn't he? The players are very small with Triple H. I wish they were more matches, but I do think that you're gonna get a good match. Logan Paul can go in the ring. You're gonna do a bunch of flips and flops, but I do think that at the end of it all, you're gonna have LA Knight beat Logan Paul. But again, my big question mark is going to be, what do we do with LA Knight going forward? Logan Paul can go in off and just have these one-off matches here and there. This is more of the spectacle stuff. I'll be really disappointed if Logan Paul does more just Logan Paul shenanigans, where he's got a guy in a bottle coming out and distracting LA Knight and wins and retains. I mean, I could totally see them doing that. The brass knuckles, like almost cliche at this point for a Logan Paul match. You got to figure something in there is going to happen like that and not just keep it as a straight up one-on-one. They're going to want to do some fun, wacky surprises, but I don't think you screw over LA Knight in this thing. Let the crowd have this. Let the LA Knight fans have this. Give him a run for a couple of months with the US title. Because again, Logan Paul hasn't been around that much. So give it to LA Knight. Yeah. WWE Women's Championship. Bayley, the champion, going up against Queen of the Ring, Nia Jax. This one is a little interesting because I think you can kind of go in a few directions with it. So Bayley versus Nia straight up one-on-one. I kind of, I would almost put the belt on Nia just to see what you could do with her. Because it's been a while. Nia has gone through, if you go and rewind the tape to earlier in the year and last year, where she's had feuds with Becky again. She's gone through things with Rhea. She didn't have WrestleMania, but then she got drafted to SmackDown and she won Queen of the Ring. I think if you got Nia Jax, you kind of want to keep building her higher and higher. Bayley as champion has been great, and they have done a lot of mixing it up where you have Naomi a little bit involved, Michin Yim has been involved heavily, Tiffany Stratton obviously with the briefcase, tag teaming it up, being friends and all of that with Nia Jax. Let's see, if it's just straight up one-on-one, I would say Nia is gonna win, but I think that because Tiffany has Money in the Bank, they might tease it. So I think if they want to get more legs out of the story and maybe even do a rematch of Nia and Bayley, or a multi-person match at, say, Bash in Berlin, or headline a SmackDown before Berlin, I think that what they could do is have Bayley retain the title, but it's going to be resulting in a distraction, potential cash in of Tiffany Stratton. I thought originally that, hey, Tiffany Stratton is just going to cash in Money in the Bank at SummerSlam. Makes the most sense. Off you go, you got Tiffany. And they may do that, but that's a lot of title changes. If they go with Matt's logic here, that's a lot of titles being flipped around. And I don't know if WWE wants to do that. Fun surprises, but don't know if they're going to go down that path. I do think that if you got Bayley retain, you do get Tiffany Stratton out there, causing a distraction, something like that, where Bayley is able to retain. Because I think we're going to see Nia Jax kind of like in the Piper Niven role with that match, and you have Nia just dominate and brutalize Bayley, but Bayley needs to sneak out the win there. So I think Bayley retains, Tiffany Stratton gets involved, causes the disruption, and kind of in a way costs Nia Jax because of the potential cash in, and that prolongs the feud to go further. But again, it gets messy down the road because you have technically two heels in Nia and Tiffany. Are you gonna have them go one-on-one? Probably not, but you got to get a little bit more of them butting heads a little bit and mixing it up with the belt. I also think WWE just wants to sell more Money in the Bank briefcases in general, and to be very quick if they have Tiffany Stratton cash in at SummerSlam. That's a quick turnaround, and we already got Drew cashed in and lost and all that. So I think that they're going to want to keep that going for a little while, do a couple of more teases. Bayley retains. Rhea Ripley has returned, and Mommy is going up against Dom Dom's lover, Liv Morgan, the champion. This one is going to do a lot in terms of the story, I think, and what they will do long term for the Judgment Day and their whole story arc and kind of unraveling of the entire faction. I think that within this, you got Liv Morgan retaining the title. I think Rhea needs to lose and keep the momentum going and the intrigue of her trying to get back at Dom, try to get back at Liv, keep things going with Judgment Day. It keeps the storyline going. If Rhea just goes to SummerSlam and beats Liv clean in the ring, then you got no story. The more interesting thing is if Liv holds onto that belt by hook or by crook, and they keep going with the storyline, maybe even for the rest of the year, because you could do a lot of back and forth. We also don't see them wrestle all that much, by the way. Like, Liv doesn't defend the title. Rhea is finally back now, and she's getting title shot. But like, it's gonna be a while before we get another PLE where Liv is going to defend that title at the PLE. It's gonna be a little bit. So I think you gotta have Liv retain, but it's probably going to be coming at the cost of Dominic Mysterio, which is the big story piece. I think Dom turns his back on Rhea and sides with Liv. And I think that you end up with the final split or a split of the Judgment Day. I think it's like Priest and Rhea on the outside, and you have a newer version of it where it's Liv, Dom, JD, Carlito, and Finn Balor running new Judgment Day, newly formed Judgment Day. I think that's the direction you have, because then you have Liv with the title, and you got the tag team titles in there because of Liv Morgan originally. That's why Finn and them would want to be siding with Liv. And Dom, really, he has to just make that choice. And I think it's way more interesting if he sides with Liv. And then you're breaking Rhea off anyways, even as a more strong babyface, because that's the role she's in. So she kind of has to break away from the heel group anyways. So Liv retains, but a lot of shenanigans are going to go down with Judgment Day. It has to. The match that I'm probably most looking forward to for the whole night, CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre with Seth freaking Rollins as the special guest referee, where it's all of Seth's rules, whatever he wants to decide they're going to be, whether there's going to be no count out, no disqualification, anything goes. It's kind of up to Seth Rollins. He's going to fast pin, slow pin, all that good stuff. This one is fun. It's a huge story that they built for almost a year. I think with both guys, especially Punk being injured, they've done an amazing job of making this work, and we are getting this match, and we're really excited. And I just hope that Punk doesn't get injured again in the match, and then we gotta wait longer if he gets injured again. This is very interesting to see what they're gonna do. It's my most anticipated match because of all the dynamics, because I want to see how they actually fight. How is Punk in the ring? How do they approach the match? How does Seth get involved? What is his involvement in there? Is he going to fast count, slow count people? Like, what is it going to be, and what is the finish? Because we're not going to get any other outside elements, but we are definitely going to get another story beat. This thing ain't over. I do think, though, it's going to be Drew or Punk, but like, I do think that you kind of want to give the edge to Drew McIntyre. I think if you want to keep this as a series going longer and longer, I mean, a big CM Punk win at SummerSlam is huge for the fans, and it's what they want to see. But I do feel that the more interesting story is Drew winning. I'm a big Punk fan, and it's easy to just say, oh, CM Punk wins and that's it. But I think the bigger, better story is somehow Drew gets the win. Maybe, and obviously, like, I think really because of the involvement of Seth Rollins screwing over CM Punk. Like, it can go both ways. We've seen Drew versus Seth, but we haven't had Seth versus Punk yet. And I think you're still going to get this combination of all three guys mixing it up with each other. I gotta think Drew gets the win. Drew gets all of that extra heat, the involvement of Seth, costing Punk. There's gotta be some kind of shenanigan in there. And then it's gonna end up with a triple threat match down the road, maybe at Bash in Berlin. And then you start moving on to the CM Punk Seth Rollins story at some point. Drew he's been screwed so many times. I feel like if Drew loses again and he loses finally to CM Punk straight up, he looks like an idiot with this whole thing because he keeps getting distracted by CM Punk every time there's a big moment. And then if he does lose, it does prove Punk's point that he made on Raw. It's like he can never win. He's so distracted by himself. He gets himself in the way of everything. And then it would just prove Punk correct. So I gotta say, it's really close, 50-50, but like I'll just say Drew McIntyre wins. Now another interesting match. Damian Priest, the World Heavyweight Champion, going up against Gunther. Now they've done a good job of building this thing in the last couple of weeks to try to get more heat on it and get guys like Matt really invested in it. The question is going to be, do you get the Judgment Day involved in this match as well? Because if you do have Judgment Day involved, like Dom turning on Rhea to side with Liv, how does that then work with like maybe later on in the night, the World Heavyweight title match? If Judgment Day gets involved in that one, then it's just kind of like you're kind of waiting for it, and then you can't really enjoy the match itself. So this one is going to be a little interesting to see how they play it out. I don't think that it's going to be just straight up no shenanigans. I think Triple H likes having his factions and the run-ins and all of that. I do think that Judgment Day needs to get involved in this somehow and not make it kind of like fans are just waiting for the ref bump and then getting that involvement. I do think at the end though, Gunther is going to win, put the World Heavyweight title on Gunther and let him go to Bash in Berlin, fight Ilya or Priest in a rematch or something like that. But Rhea and Damian, I think, are finally going to be on the outside of Judgment Day, and that new form of it is going to be happening. Gunther's winning. And then the big one, the main event. Solo Sikoa challenging Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Championship. Cody retains. I think at the end of it all, when the dust settles and the multiple ref bumps happen, Cody is still going to be holding that belt no matter what. It is interesting though, because I've seen a lot of sentiment online that's like, yeah, but what if Solo does win? Like, what if they actually pull the trigger and they put it on Solo? Solo kind of needs the belt, because what we will find out on SmackDown is when they have the Bloodline go into the tag team title match, if the Bloodline wins the tag team titles and then Solo loses at SummerSlam, well then Solo is not really a good leader, because Solo's whole thing with the Bloodline and being tribal chief is getting the gold back. So what if he fails his own mission? That ain't good, and that is not a good look for Solo. Solo needs to win in storyline. He needs to beat Cody Rhodes to look strong within his own tribe. And if he doesn't, he looks like an idiot. So, is it just gonna be straight up one-on-one? Nah. This is the moment where we get Roman Reigns' return. You gotta believe it's gonna be Roman. I don't see anything else other than like Brock Lesnar. That's the only other thing I've been seeing. The characters for me that are out in like the world that they could play with for the chess pieces, Roman coming back is the most obvious choice that they could make. Getting involved at the end of this, the classic Bloodline ref bump, and then Roman's music hit, Paul Heyman comes out and he introduces him, and boom, Roman comes down and decimates Solo Sikoa during ref bump, crossroads, and then Solo is losing, Cody retains the belt, and Roman Reigns walks off, and the crowd goes insane. That's probably what's going to happen. I think it's what everyone's going to be waiting to see happen. What is that moment going to play out like? The other option for me, the other two options, is going to be Brock Lesnar and The Rock. Those are my other two wildcard picks in this whole thing. And why Brock? Haven't seen him on TV at all. Triple H made comments in an interview over in London saying that, hey, Brock is on Brock time. And Brock could come back and talk to us when Brock wants to come back. Maybe. So Brock could come back. And the reason why Brock could come back is because the relationship with Paul Heyman. In storyline, Paul Heyman could be calling on Brock Lesnar because he can't get a hold of the Tribal Chief, and they saved Roman Reigns for later, and they bring in Brock to come in and just decimate on behalf of Paul Heyman and decimate the Bloodline and Solo Sikoa because he's got the mutual respect thing with Cody Rhodes. So it does kind of work. You got him coming to the defense as the only ally he has in Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes together. So that's my one wild card. The other one is going to be The Rock. I don't really think The Rock is coming back to show up, because if he did, he's coming in to screw over Cody Rhodes. Unless Cody wins clean. If Cody wins clean, but he gets destroyed by the Bloodline afterwards, then you could have the final boss music hit, and he comes out rock bottom to Cody, and that sets them up for the next couple of months. Everyone wondering what's going to happen. Maybe that's the Mania match, or it's going to then push for Roman to make his return, maybe at Bash of Berlin, maybe at Survivor Series. But those are the wild card picks for Matt here. The main one is Roman Reigns comes out, Tribal Chief music hit, and he comes out and he's Superman punching spears Solo Sikoa, and we're off to the races with this next chapter in the saga of the Bloodline. But what are your predictions for SummerSlam? And guys, if you enjoy our predictions videos here, don't go away. Don't do that. No. What I need you to do is click this video right here, because we're talking more WWE topics like Roman and Cody and that dynamic, and if Roman coming back at SummerSlam is it going to outshine Cody Rhodes. That's the video and that's the topic. Click here for that one. Have a great day. See ya.